Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. First things first, thanks for everyone who's been liking, sharing, subscribing, all the comments. We're going to do some more SEQTRAK today. If you want to see any more SEQTRAK, let me know in the comments. This isn't just going to be a channel about SEQTRAK stuff. We're going to go through all sorts. I'm going to do a video every single week. There's going to be lots of cool stuff and some freebies as well. So yeah, thanks for all the love. Today, song mode, synths. We're going to look at sample editing, and someone asked me in the comments as well the other day about sampling from vinyl, which is a really cool one. So we're going to look at that as well from the decks. And yeah, keep it locked. Let's go. More SEQTRAK basics. Okay, so first things first, a really cool question someone asked me about sampling from vinyl. That's what I do. I'm a DJ. I have thousands of vinyl records. I love vinyl. Phono lead. Most mixers will have dual outputs, so we'll have like a booth output as well as a main output or a monitor output. One phono lead going into a mini jack, so that mini jack will go into the audio in. Yep, on the SEQTRAK. So one cable, really simple on here again. You hold rec sample on the SEQTRAK, you'll get 3 dialogues, and the first one will be microphone and audio in, and that'll be taken over by the audio in cable, so the microphone won't be taken in by that. Second one will be USB audio, and the third one will be resampling. And here's my beat. Right, so I'm ready to go. Hold rec sample. It tells me I'm already ready to go with line in. I'll press it one more time to get a count in, and then you'll see the bars going across, which will be the duration of the sampling time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And then I stop it, and we can hear it. Okay, so straight after sampling, you want to do sample editing. And someone asked about sample editing. You get 7 sample slots. That's what you get in the SEQTRAK. And you can see here in the app, samples, third one. This is our sample. So currently, you can do these things to the sample. So you can change the start and end point. Pretty cool. So I can change the start and end point. I can change the pitch. I can change the trigger type. I can change the panning. I can change obviously the volume, and then we have the attack and decay, and obviously like envelope and the pitch envelope as well. So which is pretty cool. And then if I go to the sound design tab, we get more options to maybe add more EQ, so I'm a bit more bass to that scratch. Or maybe you can clean it up and add some highs. Maybe about there, about 5. Okay, and so that is your sample slots as far as sample editing is concerned. Obviously here as well, if you click on sound, you can choose your recorded samples and the resamples that you've done. You can choose and swap them on the fly, so they go into this slot, and then you can carry on maybe with the same edits. And it's good in this section, for instance, to be able to see, okay, yes, it was mic audio, right? Okay, that's what I was recording. And then here, obviously, you can rename that then. And then, of course, we have to choose the sounds, and we can swap the sounds in and out, and we can see what we resampled and what we worked on before. So there you go, that's the sample slots and the sample editing page for the person who asked it in the comments the other day. Hope that helps. Okay, let's go to the synth engines. Got a sub there in this track. I've not really played any bass in it, it's just a bit. It's called Lowboy, I quite like this one. So this is the AWM2 synth engine. Nice sort of bass. Okay, so someone asked about the AWM2 synth editing capabilities. So okay, there's 2,000 sounds in a SEQTRAK. This is one of the sounds, obviously. They're all in categories, which is great. So you get the bass categories, synth categories, piano categories, lead pad effects, all that kind of stuff, woodwind. There's also the X engine, if I click on that. And this is like the reface engine, the reface sound. So you get all them kind of like keys and all that kind of stuff, as well as categories as well, the same type of categories with the bass synths and the leads and stuff, which is great. But also, we have real deep editing in the DX engine. If I open it up here, you can see here we have all the operators, and we can then start to mess around with these. I can go into the EQ sends, I can go into the algorithm, I can go into the LFOs, I can go into the arpeggiators. And then we can choose obviously what type of arpeggiator as well. So it's really deep editing, pitch envelopes as well. So we can also go into absolutely, even glide, portamento as well. So we can even really tweak this sound. These capabilities aren't in the AWM2 synth engines. So the two AWM2 synth engines have those capabilities. If I click on it, I go to sound design, and that's what options you have. The DX engine, I click on it, I go to sound design, and these are my options. As you can see, many more, including, like I say, with the operators. You've got 4 operators that you can scooch across here. You've got 4 operators that you can scooch across here and really edit them to your heart's content. So yes, that's just to let you know how it works. Really, really cool. Love it. And let's go back to Synth 1. Let's go back to Synth 1, Low Boy. Okay, so bass-wise, Low Boy. Bass-wise, we're going to be doing stuff, drum and bass. You might want to, because that's quite a nice sound, to be honest. Quite like that. Low Boy, it's got a nice bit of weight to it as well. Listen to it in the studio, it's waking up the neighbours, which is great. So yeah, so this Low Boy is part of the bass category. Now I want to maybe tweak it a bit more. So I'll go to sound design page, as we've shown before, sound design page, and then I can go into the LFO, for instance. So I might want some movement to this, I might want to put something more to it. So it's quite static at the moment. Destination, of course, we're going to change that. I want to do more to this sound. So filter frequency, I'm going to put a bit of low pass on there. And leave that little resonant peak up there as well, that's fine. I go to sound design, and of course I go to LFO, because this is what we do in drum and bass. Destination of that LFO, we're going to put it to, we want the filter. So there we go, the low pass and the high pass cutoff frequency. Double click on it. And what that means is that the cutoff is going to be dictated by my LFO. So my LFO speed, my LFO delay, my LFO depth, and that's great. So then I can say, okay, now I can start tweaking it. And of course, if you look here in the bottom right closely, you can see the shape of the LFO. So that's why it's doing that kind of static thing. Let's change that to something a bit more consistent. So let's go to maybe a triangle, for instance. It's just doing that shape. So that's a bit more consistent. Close that down, and now you'll hear a bit more smoother sort of transition with the depth. And I can choose a delay. So the delay is when the actual depth of the LFO will start to be active. So there's a little gap, and then obviously the longer the delay, then the LFO will start to come active later on. And your delay will dictate when the actual LFO starts. So it's great to be able to have a note and go boom, boom later on. So like this. There's a delay. And then it comes in. So there's a delay. And then it comes in. So this is great for being able to have maybe, when you're doing bass lines and you're doing longer notes, you're doing single notes, later on you get that kind of wobble coming in a bit later on if it's like a long riff type of less notes kind of bass line, you know, longer notes, you get a little slight movement at the end of the note. So your delay will dictate that. Your delay will dictate when the actual wobble starts, the LFO depth that you're dictating starts. So bring it back a bit. And of course, then you can go into stuff like the EQ, the portamento, the glide, where obviously I turn on and I can, the difference between keys is how long it's going to glide by. I might put a distortion on that just so we can actually hear exactly what it's kind of doing. So, low boy, I'm going to go to distortion. So you get more of a sound of how it's going to sound rather than having to have a subwoofer in your house. So back to the sound design page, you can see here. Now the portamento, you get a bit more of a sound as opposed to a feel. quite like that. And the LFO, you can hear a bit more what it's doing now because we have a bit of distortion on there, so you get the sound as well as the feel. And of course you can tempo sync it as well. So obviously this is like a drum bass with a 175 tempo, as you can see here. So I like to kind of use them by ear, so you kind of get a bit of that sort of organic movement, like if you're using an old school synth where, because of the transistors and stuff like that, each note is not quite the same, or it's not quite warmed up enough, and every note's a little bit off, and I like that. But if you really want to be on time and on sync with your LFOs, you just turn the sync on, and then you can choose the sort of the speed, 8, 16s, 32s, all that kind of stuff. So and then we can say, for instance, go back to our filter page, and then we can actually change the sort of filter to that will also dictate how the LFO behaves. And there you go, that is the synths. Okay, so I have my LFO, let's put a little riff in, and then we'll look at the song mode. There we go, little riff got down. And then of course I can tweak it real time in the app to tweak this LFO and wobble to taste. And as you can see there, one of the second note is a little bit off, really simple to fix. So I go to pattern mode in the synth, and I can go to edit in the synth page, and then I can see the note and I can bring it back on. And that's what I love about the app as well. So that's a really cool thing to be able to do. Okay, so quickly get a chord down, and then we'll see the chord, and then we'll see the song mode. So I'm going to stay with the AWM2 synth engine. We're just going to put some quick chords down, and just to back this up, we're going to go for the synth leads, and we're going to pick a sound. We're going to go synth lead. We're going to pick a pad, multi-saw pad, and from here in this section here, we can see there sound, mono, poly. Second one, we want to change the chord mode, and then we can just play chords. Bit high, octave down. I can take it down the octaves. Too much there, just press the octave button. That's more like it. It tells me with this flashing LED what octave I'm on. Maybe go up one more octave. Okay, so now I change the bar length. And now we're going to go into song mode, really simple, all in project, song mode, all in project, scene mode. So song mode, scene mode. What's the difference between song and scene mode? Scenes create the structure of the song mode. The song mode is your final outcome, where it will play from left to right across these bars, all the way across. That will be your song length. So this will be the song. And when you're in scene mode, you get these colors. So these are your scenes. So these are currently selected one, currently selected one, currently selected one. So I'm going to delete them, and here's a rapid song mode idea for you. So really easy in song mode. I've deleted all the scenes, so this one here has all the scenes on. Really, really simple. Just duplicate them across, and that gives me every single one of these scenes, which will be exactly the same. I go to the first one, I can just press mute, and I can then choose to take out what I want to play, maybe leave the kick in. Second one, I will leave the kick and the snare in. Third one, I'll leave those two in with the kick, snare and the hats. And then the fourth one will be absolutely everything. And you can just do it like this and monitor your song structure in scene mode. Really, really simple. And if you need to work out how long it takes for something plays, that is called your launch quantize. So launch quantize is set by holding page, and then all tells you when the launch quantize will be when you press the key, how many bars it waits before the next part comes in. So I'm going to bring it down to, let's do 4 bars. And now when I press it, and each time I press it and launch it, it'll come in after 4 bars. So I can see here what I've muted out as well. It's also good to be able to see, okay, this one maybe, for instance, that one's kind of got everything in it. Maybe mute one of them out as well. And then the fourth one has everything available. So here we go. And it's going to wait now. And you can see now when I press the keys now, it'll wait for the bars before it comes in. I can go again, I can say, okay. And I can say, okay, give me launch quantize of 4. So now, in launch quantize mode, it tells me when, I can see here I'm in song mode as well, C mode in song mode. So launch quantize will dictate how long it waits before it then triggers for the next part to come in. So if you're building a song structure with rolls at a certain section, or you want like 8 bars of solid rolls and then it drops, you can actually do this by literally holding project and then all, and then you can choose to change the launch quantize of when it comes in, when it triggers. And let's do 4 bars. So now when I click across, it's going to wait 4 bars and then drop, wait 4 bars, and then it's going to drop. So another cool tip is I can see as well what I've muted on the section, so you can actually see what kind of song structure works. Just dropping with the kick and the synths. Second one, we've got the synths, the kick, the snare. Third one, the hat's coming back in. Fourth, everything. And let's see that in action. It's going to wait. And again. Really simple. Then if I say all in project again, I go into the song mode, and then now in song mode, it literally will play from left to right. I can see what structures are made up of part of this. So I can actually see the structure of my song, and then I go from left to right and just press play, and it'll go to the end, and then it'll stop. And then you can loop it again as well. You can use the app as well, and it'll go across all the bars. And these are what's made up of this song. These are the scene modes that are within the song. So again, scene mode, song mode. So there you go. I hope they give you a bit of a Kickstarter and some ideas and helped you with the basics of the SEQTRAK. If you want to see more SEQTRAK videos, let me know in the comments. Thank you for all the likes, shares and subscribes. Next week got something really cool. We're drawing for the hardware. We're going to go for hardware sampling. So people who love drum and bass, people who love jungle, we're drawing the hardware sampler. So next week, big one next week. So please tune in for that one. And again, like I say, thank you for all the likes, comments, shares and subscribes. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe now. And I'll see you next week.